Hello student, myself Kuhu Sarkar, and today I will continue the series, and the series name is Let's Discuss PYQs. So here I will do 2020 morning shift question paper, English question paper. So let's start. And if you did not join my Telegram channel, please do join, where I usually share important information and my video links and also important PDFs. So let's start. Which of the following novel is structured into a poem of 999 lines, preceded by a foreword followed by a commentary and an index? And the answer will be Pale Fire. Pale Fire 1962 is a novel by Vladimir Nabokov. It consists of a long poem of 999 lines in a heroic and a commentary on it by an insane pedant. This brilliant parody of literary scholarship is also an experimental synthesis of Nabokov's talent for both poetry and prose. It extends and completes his mastery of unorthodox structure. So, Pale Fire is a poem of 999 lines. Let's see the next question. Which of the following strictly follow the parameters of documentation prescribed by the 8th edition of MLA Handbook? And the answer will be 3, means A and D. So here you have to follow the rules of MLA 8th edition of MLA Handbook. So first will be answer will be A and D, mean first the name of the writer, then editor, then his book, then the place of publication, and then the year. So MLA stands for Modern Language Association, which is based in the United States. MLA Handbook provides guidelines for documenting sources in scholarly writing. So you have to understand the rules and remember it. The rules of APA Handbook and MLA Handbook. Then question number 78. To which methodological characters is Faustus compared in the prologue of Dr. Faustus? And the answer will be 3, mean Icarus. The prologue connects Dr. Faustus to the Greek legend of Icarus. The prologue compares the temperament and experience of the protagonist Faustus to Icarus doing effort to fly. So, the myth of Icarus is compared with the character of Dr. Faustus. Icarus was a boy whose father, Daedalus, gave him wings made out of feathers and beeswax. So the wings was made up by beeswax, and also want him not to fly too high. So he also want him that not to fly high. But Icarus did not pay any attention to his father's warning and flew extremely close to the sun. So when he flew extremely close to the sun, the his wing melt out and causing his wings to melt down and sending him plunging to his death. Similarly, the chorus let us know Foster's will mount above his reach. So he also go far away, right? And mount above his reach and experience the same destiny. So, like Icarus, Faustus also go beyond his reach, and therefore he also faced the same destiny. So, there is also a poem by Auden where the same theme of Icarus was also described. So let's see the question number 79. Who said of the blank verse, quoting an unnamed critic that it is verse only to the eye, adding further that is has neither the easiness of prose nor melody of numbers? And the answer will be 4. In his Life of Milton, Samuel Johnson wrote that the variety of pauses, so much boasted by the lovers of blank verse, changes the measure of English poet to the period of declaimer, and there are only a few skillful and happy readers of Milton who enable their audience to perceive where the lines end or begin. Blank verse, said an ingenious critic, seems to be verse only to the eye. So, blank verse seems to be verse only to the eye. Poetry may subsist without rhythm, but without rhyme, but English poetry will not often please, nor can rhyme ever be safely spared, but where the subject is able to support itself. Blankers make some approach to that which is called lapidary style, has neither the easiness of prose nor the melody of numbers, and therefore tries by long continuance. So here he said that blank verse not seems like poem only to the eye, and also adding that it has neither the easiness of prose, it not like the easiness of prose, not like prose, and it also not melodious of numbers. It also not melodious like other poems, other lyrical poems. So he described it in the Life of Milton. It wrote by Samuel Johnson. Then question number 80. Which of the following statement is true about Aristotle poetics? So the answer will be 4. He asserted the value of poetry by focusing on mimesis rather than rhetoric. So Aristotle asserted the value of poetry by focusing on imitation, means mimesis, rather than rhetoric. Mimesis is a concept originally developed by Aristotle within the context of the article tragedy. Mimesis is essentially concerned with how art imitates reality. Such imitation involves the display or presentation of action rather than imaginative concept of action, which is termed disguise, which is termed disguises. In other words, to imitate an action, present it as real is mimetic, whereas the imagination of an action is diegetic. According to Aristotle, mimesis involves the representation of reality, and in particular with regards to human emotions rather than human intellect. Aristotle was particularly concerned with how the concept of mimesis functions in tragedy and sought to show how drama was imitation of reality. So Aristotle tried to find out that how our action is imitated in the play. So Aristotle was particularly concerned with how the concept of mimesis functioned in tragedy and so to show that how drama was an imitation of reality. So Aristotle said that drama was an imitation of reality. So let's see the next question. Which British administrator sought to make everything as English as possible in a country which resembles England is nothing? And the answer will be Cornwallis. Cornwallis sought to implant English institution in India, and Thomas Munro recorded that Cornwallis sought to make everything as English as possible in a country which resembles England is nothing. So let's see question number 82. Which two of the following events are described in Samuel Pepys' diary? And you know that Samuel Pepys was a diary writer, and the answer will be 1, mean A and B, the plague in London and the Great Fire of London. So let's see the explanation. Samuel is for famous for the diary he kept for a decade. Pepys began to keep a diary from 1st January to 1st January 1660. The last entry was made on 31 May 1669. So he was very much ill, and doctor asked him not to read and not to write, and therefore he stopped writing. Um, in You know that Milton also asked to stop writing and stop reading, but he did not, and therefore he became a great writer. But Samuel Pepys was a famous diary writer. He kept diary for everyday life, and here we see that there are two famous events he was noted down, and it was the plague in London and the Great Fire of London. His diary reveals his jealousies, insecurities, trivial concern, and his practiced relationship with his wife. It is an important account of London in 1660. The juxtaposition of his commentary on politics, national events, alongside the very personal can be seen from the beginning. It provides a combination of personal revelation and eyewitness accounts of great events such as Great Plague of London, Second Dutch War, and Great Fire of London. So he also noted down three events, and first is the Great Plague of London, the Second Dutch of War, and Great Fire of London. So you know that Dryden also noted down these three events, and in praise to Charles II, he also noted down, and he said that when Charles II came and he gained his reign, uh, the year was miracle, and he wrote it in praise of Charles II. And he also mentioned these three events: the plague, the Dutch War, and the Great Fire of London. The Duchess of Malfi, question number 83. The Duchess of Malfi is based on, and the answer will be two, an Italian novella. Webster wrote Duchess of Malfi in 1612 or 13. The play is based on an Italian novella, which is based on true historical events. The real Duchess Giovanna di Aragona married Antonio Beccadelli in secret and bore him three children. So, the Duchess of Malfi's story was taken from Italian novella. She was murdered by her brothers, and one of whom was cardinal in 1510. And Webster's main changes to the story are that Antonio did not die until a few years after Duchess' death, and Bossola repentance and ultimate betrayal and murder of the brother is fictionalized. So he fictionalized some story there. He changes the plot, as the two were never accused or killed. So let's read the question number 84. Which of the following essay holds that as a method realism is a complete failure? And the answer will be Oscar Wilde, The Decay of Lying. So Oscar Wilde, Decay of Lying holds that as a method realism is a complete failure. Oscar Wilde's decay of lying proves his promotion of romanticism over realism. So he proves his promotion of romanticism over realism. He supports romanticism. Oscar Wilde writes, the moment art surrenders its imaginative medium, it surrenders everything. So he said that if you write realistic work, if you write in realism, the moment you surrender your imaginative power, the moment you surrender everything, because imagination is something, or your creativity is something which is literature as per him. Reality or realism work is nothing. As a method, realism is complete failure. So he said that realism is a complete failure, and the two things that every artist should avoid are modernity of form and modernity of subject matter. So he totally rejects the modernity of form, the modernist work, like naturalistic and realistic work, and modernity of subject matter. So he completely rejects these things. Let's see question number 85. The Orientalists in British India were not sympathetic towards India's ancient learning. And second, William Jones thought that an imagination, ras- rationation and philosophy, Indians are no means inferior to Europe. And the answer will be four main. One is incorrect and second is true. The Orientalists in British India were not sympathetic towards India's ancient learning, so it is incorrect. William Jones thought that imagination, ratio, ratiocination, and philosophy, Indians are no means inferior to Europeans. So that is true, because the Orientalists in British India were very eager to know India's ancient learning, and William Jones was one of them, that he had the opinion that Indians are no means inferior to Europeans. So he also interested in Indian culture, Indian tradition, and Indian literature and Indian education. So let's see the next question. Which two terms among the following are associated with the formalist criticism? So here I want to ask you a question, that William Jones, who was very much interested in Indian education, he also wrote a work which is very much important. He translated the work. So if you watch this video, please write down the name of the work, which is very much important. So let's see the next question. Question number 86. Which two terms among the following are associated with the formalist criticism? And the answer will be four. Mean D and E, defamiliarization and foregrounding. There is also another question about defamiliarization and foregrounding, right? So defamiliarization and foregrounding also is associated with formalist criticism. Formalist criticism refers generally to kinds of criticism that emphasize the importance of the formal dimension of literary text, such as prose style, rhythm, narrative structure, verse form, and so on. In this respect, formalism is seen to stress the importance of form, supposedly distinct from content, meaning, social, and historical context. So, what is formalism? Formalism want to focus on the form. Uh, they reject the background, the historical background of the text or the author. uh, they only try to focus the form, the style, the narrative structure, the first form of the writing. So here defamiliarize meaning, they said that a writer always try to defamiliarize the work, the same story, the same plot. They try to defamiliarize and make it in a new way. They try to give you in a new way, and they try to say the same story in a different way, so you find is defamiliar. Therefore you get interest to know more about the writing, right? So the term defamiliarization and foregrounding. The Russian formalist critic Viktor Slavkovsky uses the term Austrian, or usually translated as making strange. So he was used the term making strange or Austrian or defamiliarization. to denote what he sees as the primary function of literary text to make the familiar unfamiliar. So it makes the familiar unfamiliar, to renew the old and or make the habitual appearance fresh or strange. According to formalist critic, foregrounding is a stylistic device that hypothetically prompt defamiliarization, evoke feelings, and prolong reading time. So, what is foregrounding? Foregrounding is a stylistic device that hypothetically promote defamiliarization. So, it is promoting defamiliarization and evoke feelings and prolong reading time. So, this is called foregrounding. So, let's see the next question. Question number 87. Who among the following are two greatest masters of the French language that T.S. Eliot contrasts with Dryden and Milton in metaphysical poets? So the answer will be three, means B and C. Jean Racine and Charles Baudelaire. Eliot's influential essay, The Metaphysical Poets, 1921, appeared as a review of Herbert J.C. Grierson's anthology, Metaphysical Lyric and Poems of the 17th Century. In this essay, Eliot argued that the works of these men embody a fusion of thoughts and feelings that later poets were unable to achieve because of dissociation of sensibility. So he said that in his essay, Eliot argued that the works of these men embody a fusion. It embody a fusion of thoughts and feelings. So they mix the thought with feeling that later poets unable to achieve. So the later poets cannot achieve their fusion. So and this is called dissociation of sensibility, which resulted in works that were either intellectual or emotional, but not both at once. So, later poets wrote some writings which are either intellectual or emotional, but it is not the fusion of emotion and intellect. Eliot discussed that Milton and Dryden achieved this, and he said that their influence was most unhealthy because, as a result, their set is in a dissociation of sensibility, from which English poetry was recovered only in one modern age. Both Milton and Dryden were, in contrast to two great masters of French language, Jean Racine and Charles Baudelaire. So he said that T.S. Eliot contrast them. So he contrast them. So he discussed that Milton and Dryden and their influence most unhealthy. So he said that their influence was most unhealthy because as a result of their influence, they are said in a dissociation of sensibility, from which English poetry has recovered only in one modern age. So he contrasts Milton and Dryden with Racine and Charles Baudelaire. So let's see the next question, question number 88, which is the match the following. So Ars Poetica is a poem written by Horace in 19 BC, in which he advised poets on the art of writing poetry and drama. So he advised poets on the art of writing and poetry and drama. Then Ben Jonson's Timber is a collection of meditations and commentaries upon a range of issues, from the nature of fortune, fame, opinion, and wisdom to observation on dramatic theory and poetics. So, Ben Jonson's Timber is a collection of meditations and commentaries upon a range of issues, from the nature of fortune, fame, opinion, wisdom to observations on dramatic theory and poetics. Then the Defense of Rhyme, which was published in 3 is written by Samuel Daniel, and John Dryden's essay on dramatic poesy presents a brief discussion on neoclassical theory of literature. So Horace wrote Ars Poetica, John Dryden wrote Timber or Discoveries, Samuel Daniel wrote A Defense of Rhyme, and Ben Jonson Dryden wrote of dramatic poesy. So let's see the next question. Question number 89. Which two of the following statements are applicable to meta language? What is meta language? And the answer will be 3, mean A and D. A technical language which describes the properties of language. So it is a technical language which describes the properties of language. And a second order of language. It is a second order of language. Meta language is a concept that has been present in Western thought since the pre-Socrates, but was a particular concern to structuralism and the work, among others, Roman Jacobson. In linguistics, it is used to describe the way in which one language talks about other language, the object language. For example, the object language may be a literary text and the meta language a commentary on it. So, what is meta language? In linguistics, it is used to describe the way in which one language talks about another language. So it is like one language talking about another language, the object language. For example, the object language may be a literary text, so it can be a literary text, and meta language do commentary on it. So what is meta language? Meta language do commentary on the another language. Within the domain of critical theory, the term was popularized in 1974 in the film journal screened by Colin McCabe. So the object language may be a literary text. Within the domain of critical theory, the term was popularized in 1974 in the film journal screened by Colin McCabe. His realism and the and the cinema begins by describing the way in which the 19th century classical realist novel organized its discourse with regard to the meta language and truth. So his realism and the cinema begins by describing the way in which the 19th century classical realist novelist and novel organized its discourse with regard to the meta language and truth. So this is called meta language. Meta language means a second order language which do commentary with the object language on object language, and a technical language which describes the properties of language. It is called meta language. So let's see the question number 90, and it is also a matching question. So G is a 1972 novel by John Barker set in pre-First World War Europe, and its protagonist named G. So it is by John Barker. Then V is a novel by Thomas Pynchon published in 1962, granted as Faulkner Foundation Award for a first novel. Thomas Pynchon, he was a famous Australian writer, right? Then J is the 2014 novel by Howard Jacobson. It was shortlisted for the 2014 Man Booker Prize. And MF is a 1971 novel by Anthony Burgess. So MF is a 1971 work by John Anthony Burgess. So Thomas Pynchon, V. Howard Jacobson, J. Anthony Burgess, M.F. John Berger, G. So let's see the next question number, and it is a reading comprehension. So let's see. Daybreak. At dawn she lay with her profile at the angel, which sleeping seems to the stone face of an angel, her hair a harp The hand of a breeze follows to play against the white cloud of the pillows. Then, in a flash of rose she woke. Her eyes were open, swimming with blue through the rose sprays of dawn. From her dew of leaves, the drop of one word fell. From a dawn of fountains when she murmured, "Darling, upon my heart the song of the first bird. My dream glides in my dream," she said, "come true. I awaken from you to my dream of you." Oh, then my waking dream dared to assume the audacity of her sleep. Our dreams flowed into each other's arm like stream. So here you have to match the following. Here a heart. So her hair a harp. So her hair harp is two mean metaphor. Then the hand of a bridge would be synecdoche. Then seems the stone face. Here you can easily find that it is simile, like because it says seems. So the word when we use seems like as will be simile, right? Then my walking dream will be oxymoron because dream cannot walk. Then question number 92. Which among the following best describes the lady's face at dawn she lay asleep? And the answer will be 2. The side view of her face appears to be that a sculpted angel's. Then question number 93, and you have to match the following. Her hair. So her hair will be um, 2. A harp is like a harp. Pillows will be like cloud, right? Then bridge will be like prayer, and cheeks like rose. Okay. So let's see the question number. Here it is a explanation, little explanation. Then. mm Okay. Oh, there is another reading comprehension. Okay. Logic cannot have any empirical part, that is, a part in which the universal and necessary laws of thought rest on grounds taken from experience. Otherwise, it would be logic, that is, a canon for the understanding or the reason, valid for all thought and capable of demonstration. Natural and moral philosophy, on the contrary, can each have their empirical part. Since the former has the determined the laws of nature as an object of experience, the latter the laws of human will so far it is affected by nature. The former, however, being laws according to which everything does happen, the latter laws according to which everything ought to happen. Ethics, however, must also consider the conditions under which what ought to happen frequently does not. The essay was written by Immanuel Kant. So question number 94. Logic cannot have empirical part because the answer will be 2, mean B and C. It propounds laws whose applicability can be shown, and C, its laws are valid for all thought. So it propounds laws whose applicability can be shown and its laws are valid for all thought. Then question number 95. Based on the passage, which of the following statements are correct? And the answer will be A and D. For natural philosophy, nature influences the laws, and moral philosophy accounts for what should be. So, for natural philosophy, nature influences the laws, and moral philosophy accounts for what we should be. So, let's stop here because I don't have time.